Here we go again with more new government regulations, this time from the federal government. And that is a new foreign buyer ban starting January 1st in Canada. Now, we knew this was coming for quite some time, but we just actually got the full regulations of this foreign buyer ban just before Christmas. So in this video, I'm going to talk about, the regulations and what this means. And I'm also going to talk about my opinion and why I have a real issue with this new ban. But before I get into it, if you like this content, you want to see more, please click the like and subscribe to my channel. I post videos every week on YouTube about the Halifax real estate market and buyer and seller tip. Also, if you want to book a call or a meeting with me, you can do so anytime in the calendar link below in my description at a time when it's convenient for you. Okay, so let's get started with the basics. The foreign buyer ban is on residential properties and it started January 1st, 2023, and it's for 2 full years. And residential property is defined as something with less than 3 units, so something like a single family home, a condo, a townhouse, semi-detached, and so on. The act comes with a $10,000 fine for any Canadian who willingly assists the purchase for a non-Canadian and for any non-Canadian who does purchase a home in this time frame. And it says that if a court finds that a non-Canadian has purchased, they may order the sale of the property. And one more thing I want to note is this has nothing to do with rental properties at all in terms of somebody looking to rent. It's only for purchase of real estate. Now, moving on from the basics, let's talk about some of the exceptions. Number one, temporary residents who are currently studying in Canada. But to qualify for this, they needed to file their taxes here the last 5 years. They need to be in the country for X amount of time over the last 5 years, and there's a purchase price maximum of $500,000 as well. Number two, temporary residents who are working in Canada, but they needed to have filed 3 of the last 4 years taxes in Canada. They needed to work full time in Canada for 3 of the last 4 years, and they need to have a work visa as well. Refugees and refugee claimants who are fleeing international crisis are also exempt, along with accredited members of foreign missions in Canada, and recreational properties such as cottages, cabins are exempt as well. Now that we know the basics of the act, let's talk about what I actually think about it and do I think it's going to matter in our marketplace. Personally, I see this more as a political statement, which is really not going to make a big difference in the overall market across Canada, especially in Halifax. And in my opinion, it's not going to help price points. I think the only thing that's going to help price points right now is more supply. And I think we're so far behind in this, it's almost impossible to catch up anytime in the foreseeable future. I think with the small amount of foreign investing we see here in the Halifax, Dartmouth area and across Nova Scotia, I don't expect this to affect our local market here at all, or across Canada for that matter, but especially here, and just in terms of market conditions, I don't think it's going to change. So I don't think it's going to affect the number of sales. I don't think it's going to affect the price points or anything like that. To be honest, I don't give my straight up opinion on here that often. I often give kind of both sides of the coin and stay neutral and let you make your own decisions on what's right or what's wrong, or what side you fall on. But I am going to give my opinion about this one. Personally, I have a big problem with this, to be honest with you. So we as a country are what I would say are pro-immigration, but now we're tightening the screw, so to speak, and we're making it a lot less desirable for people to come here. In terms of our local market here in Nova Scotia, we employ a lot of doctors, a lot of nurses, a lot of IT people, a lot of tradespeople, and so on. And we need them. It's not like we want them. We need them for things to move forward in our everyday life here in Nova Scotia. And now we're saying, hey, can you come work here? And we're going to tax you to death. And you're going to have to rent for 3 years, by the way, until you get enough tax returns so that you can have that history so that you can buy a home in 3 years from now. I'm sorry, but it's just not right. However, a foreign investor who doesn't even live in the country could buy a multi-unit home over 3 units, and other than owning that home, they're really contributing nothing to society here in Nova Scotia. But the ones who are living here, working hard, pumping money into our economy, staffing our disaster of a healthcare system and other industries can't buy a home. I'm sorry, but it's just not right. Now, on the flip side, as a homeowner, I own a home. I worked really hard to buy that home. I bought it with my own private money that I earned with my hard work. Let's say I have a willing buyer who's a foreign buyer, and this buyer is willing to pay $500,000 for a particular home, and the banks are willing to loan them that money for the home. They have good debt ratios, they have good income, all that, and they qualify with the bank. Now, let's say the next closest buyer is a Canadian, and they're only willing to pay $475,000 for that home. So then I just lost, as a private homeowner, $25,000 of my equity, when really this is the government telling me what I can and can't do with my own private investment. So if I have an investment and I want to sell it to somebody outside of Canada, I should be able to do that. And honestly, I'm sorry, but it's just not right. And lastly, and I think this is my biggest problem with this foreign buyer ban, is that this ban is not going to help the Canadian housing crisis in any way, shape, or form. It's not going to affect pricing. It's not going to affect supply. It's not going to help. And I think if I thought it was going to help, I might be singing a very different tune on my opinion of this, but it is simply not going to help. In my opinion, this will have zero impact on the Canadian housing market as a whole. The biggest problem in Canada right now across the whole country is supply. We have a massive supply deficit, and until this changes, it is not going to change for Canadians looking to buy a home. And just to put this into context for you, you can see up on the screen now, this is the percentage of homes owned by foreign owners. And it's so minuscule in the grand scheme of things across the country, as you can see here. This was as of 2020, so it's not 100% up to date, but it gives you some context as to how minuscule the piece of the pie is that these foreign buyers have of the country's real estate currently. Now, if you're still here, I would love to hear what you think. Comment below. I'd love to get some dialogue started down there. And I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video in full. And I hope it answered some questions for you. And I hope it gave you some insight as to what this foreign buyer ban really means. If you're looking to read up more on this, I'll put the link below in the description so you can check out all the regulations in detail. I just touched on the basics here in this video because I didn't want to confuse you too much or overload you with info, but I talked about all the basics here, but the link will be below if you want to read up more on this on your own time. If you have any questions, let me know. And if you got any value from this video at all, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of my future content. And by liking this video, you'll help push it out to more people like you who might be interested in watching. Until next time, thanks for watching and have a great day.